Hey there, and in this video I'm going to be showing off my Vauban build, and I'll also be showing off, like in my Saron Prime, or the Saron build, I will be also showing off a weapon I think does really well, and matches with the kind of style Vauban is going for, kind of like gameplay he's going for. But unlike, the Saron build, this weapon, the weapon that the primary weapon that I have in the video, it isn't as important to playing as Vauban. While with Sauron, using Ignis or any of those area effect weapons is very important for Sauron to actually make her good and effective. While Baza, it isn't an important one to use with Vauban, as you can use many other weapons and it would still be as effective, like Heck or Vacor Heck. Those kind of weapons are also very good. Those kind of weapons. Very good for Vauban. Pretty much any shotgun is very good for Vauban. But I just prefer Baza, as in my Baza video. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see that. And you want to see what the build I put to Baza, because I won't be showing it in this video because I've already have a video about it. So yeah. But in that video, I'll just sum it up. I pretty much just the build is about crit and getting crit onto enemies, and so it's very good to have use a Warframe with Baza that can stop an enemy in its track and then make it very easy for you to get headshots onto that enemy. And literally, Vauban does that except with a group of enemies. So you can move them all up, and then you can get headshots and move around and get headshots on all of them. And in the time that you're allocated, I think with this build, let's see how long do I get this build? You get about about almost pretty much 20 seconds to go around and get headshots on all those enemies. And that's plenty enough time. That's plenty of time to get headshots on all the enemies. So I just prefer this as well. I just prefer the Baza. So, but you could use other weapons like I haven't tried the Brenton yet, but I've tried the Daravandal, also pretty good. Dread also. Hex. I haven't tried out Vacor Hex because I don't have it yet, but Hex is really good, and I'm guessing Vacor Hex would be even better because there's twice the magazine size, which is of 8. Hex is 4. So that means you're going to be killing more enemies, and that's the only real problem I have with Heck, is when you're killing enemies and you have to reload middle of it and then continue on. So I'm guessing the Vacor Heck will probably be better for that, and also I've also heard that the Vacor Heck is better than Heck just in general anyway. So yeah, you can probably use Tigris, and Cerberus will also be a pretty good one as well, getting those headshots and getting those crits. And yeah, it's pretty much, you can pretty much use as any weapon, then it should be a fun with Vauban. But as I say, as Baza, and yeah, so that okay. But let's actually get into the build I have for Vauban. Now, as you can see, this is a pretty, actually before I continue, I was just gonna say, this build is, as I say with all my other build videos, this is for not higher level players. This isn't for older players, like they have master rank 15 or higher kind of stuff. This is for players around master rank 10. I've just started really getting into the meat of the game, and they want to have a build for these kind of characters. They want a pretty decent build that that I built, that's been built, and you can just look it up and that kind of stuff. Because if you go and look up builds for all these Warframes, they're always built towards players that master rank 18, 20, and that kind of stuff, and they already have prime flow, prime everything. They have all these extremely rare mods, while most of these newer people have none of these mods. So I just want to make a build for those guys. And yeah, and because it's pretty easy for me to do this, because I am a new player. I'm master rank 10, almost master rank 11. So I am a pretty new player compared to everyone else. So I have the capabilities to know what exactly is new and what exactly isn't, what's easy to get and what isn't. So yeah, so this build's for. So if you're an older player, I would recommend you leaving. And if you're not a new player, well, here's the build for you. So yeah, that's again to the build. So I got Intensify here, and the reason for that is because it increases the amount of enemies you can hold up. Because if you got a group of 30 enemies, I think it only picks up about 15 of those enemies. So that means you're gonna have 50 enemies running around. Now, if you have strength on, that gets to 15, as I said. But if you don't, it gets you have around 10. So I just like to have strength on, so you can basically pick up more enemies, as many as you can. Now, what you could do is you could get on, if you do have this mod, you can get blind range on, which increases ability strength, which is more than this. That means you could probably pick up, because if it's 15, you should be able to pick up I don't know, around 23 enemies. Now, if you want to do that, you can do that. You're completely fine doing that. But again, it also affects your ability and efficiency, and I feel like that's very important in my opinion because I like to have, I like to have basically my my mods not eating up all my mods, my abilities not eating up all my energy as well. Because a lot of Vauban's abilities are very energy intensive. Or like a lot of them do like 100 or 75. So I like to have it so that it's not as costly and I have energy a lot more than I would if I didn't have efficiency on. So yeah, but you're completely fine with doing it. If you're in a team of like Trinity or something, and you're going to like one of those, it's completely fine. You can do blind raids, that kind of stuff. You could do that if you want, and you don't really need Streamline if you're going into a game with a Trinity that like a what's it called? Vampire Steel, I think it is. If you're going to match with like a Trinity that is built for that, that's completely fine. I would recommend doing that, and you can pretty much just pick up all the enemies, and it'll be pretty effective. But for right now, I'm okay with this kind of intensify, and only having like 130 strength. I'm all fine with that, and I would recommend that just for like normal game, just for normal gameplay and that kind of stuff. And yeah. Now we also have reduction. Sorry, I said that wrong. We got reduction, and these two kind of go together. Fast deflection. This one basically increases the shield recharge rate, and this one right here increases the shield capacity to about not 55. It's like 400, and what gets to 55 is vigor. Vigor over here, which increases it to 125 shield capacity and also health. The reason that I try to put in mostly well, as many as I can without taking away any of these ability affecting mods is because Vauban, he's pretty squishy by himself. When I say by himself, because let's go to abilities. His passive is armor increases with each ally nearby. So that means if you're in the team of 4, that's your buff is going to go up 3 times, and your survivability does increase by that point. So I've been in matches and that kind of stuff where I do survive pretty quickly, but again I am pretty squishy, so you got to move around quite a lot as you're only at 50 armor and you have pretty low health and shields. So just try and keep that in mind when you're playing him, that you're pretty squishy, so watch out. And I would recommend, if you're able to, get into a team as much as you can when using Vauban, because it's just the best. If you go into like a level 30 defense mission, you're going to get destroyed pretty quickly. So I would recommend going into a team of like at least 4 and trying to get a team of 4, and then that means you can have increased armor ability, and also you just gonna have increased armor ability, and then you also got people watching your back and helping you out. So it's just best overall to have a team full of Vauban. He's not really a good solo frame, so it was just keep that in mind when you're playing him. So yeah, as I showed before, I have Streamline, which increases the efficiency. I said this before, I like to have my abilities not eating up as much energy as it normally would, and so I can cast more abilities and more abilities, so that's why I like it. And yeah, now I've also got Flow, which increases the energy to about 450, probably a little more than that, but it's a lot of energy, and you would think it would, because your abilities are, as I said, even with normal Streamline, very 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 energy hungry. They take a lot of energy. I'm pretty sure my most used ability, which is his third, let's go abilities. Most used ability is Bastel. I can't say that. Sorry, I'm not good names. I apologize, but yeah, it's 50. It takes up 53 energy, and so that is quite a lot of your energy, and you'll be using this quite a lot when you're in gameplay, especially well, in my experience you do, and you'll be using it a lot. So I would just recommend having Streamline on. That's why I have it on, so it's not as energy intensive. Also, as you can see, Vortex. I don't use this as much. It's only an occasional one. I only really use it when there's more enemies. Like I said, my thing before when I said it, it's like when there's about 30 enemies around. That's when I usually use Vortex, because it sucks them all in, and that can just as the Vortex also does damage, I can also use my melee weapon and kill them, or I could use my Baza to shoot into the little cluster of enemies. So that's why I like using it for. Again, it doesn't really affect me. Use the 70 energy, as I don't really use it that much. So again, it's not really something I also like want to build towards. I usually build towards this. Probably, arguably, Vauban's most useful ability. Yeah, pretty much. I could say probably this ability I would never use. You can use it. It is kind of effective, but I don't really like to use it. The main abilities that I like the other abilities, which is pretty much just like 4 abilities in one, which is cool, is the Mind Layer, which you can have Bounce, Trip Laser, Shred, and Concuss. Now, the one I use the most is Concuss, as it basically puts radiation damage on them, and it's basically an extremely light version of Nyx's third ability. Was it? I forgot what his name of that one is, but it's basically where her ability basically makes all the enemies fight each other. While this is a very light version, that where if an enemy walks over this like little mine, it'll explode, and any enemies in that area are going to be affected with radiation. They're all going to start attacking each other, and yeah, so that's it. I rarely use that. I sometimes use Shred, not really that much, and occasionally if there is a hallway that needs to be blocked off with a trip laser, and like we need to shut down the corridor. To use trip laser. I usually put it between the corner. And if you don't know what trip laser does, its name is pretty self-explanatory. Basically, puts up a little trip laser which any enemy walks over, trips over, and I'm pretty sure it can trip over pretty much. Same, just like 30 enemies, it's gonna trip them all over. It will. I'm pretty sure it's gonna go down though. It's gonna get destroyed pretty quickly. It does have a duration though, which basically trip wire will go away after a while. But I'm pretty sure the more enemies that trip over it means it's gonna break a lot quicker. So yeah, just letting you know that. So yeah. Oh, and also one thing I forgot to talk about was that another reason I have Intensified to increase my ability strength is because it basically makes it so that the explosion damage and radius, I think it also affects as well, and a couple other things which like debuff and that kind of stuff, and armor reduction and kind of stuff. It basically makes it so that it concuss and shred and trip lasers are a lot more effective. And again, as I said before, I don't really use them that much, and most players I don't really see using that much. But I still like to have it so that when I do want to use it, they're pretty effective. So Intensify is good for that, as well as adding on to making more people being picked up with your third ability. So yeah, and then we have Stretch. Again, pretty self-explanatory. If you don't know his third ability, he basically puts like a little ring around So he basically throws his little grenade and then puts a little ring around it. Any enemy inside that ring will be picked up off the ground and then frozen in midair, where aren't able to shoot or anything. And having increased ability range makes it so it's larger, and that means means it's going to pick up a lot more people, and it's going to have a bigger range. And yeah, and it's very good. Like saying if you're doing a grenadier thing, their hallways are pretty small. Their battle zones, you can pretty much just chuck one down into one location, like into like one hallway, and then every single enemy that walks into that is going to be picked up straight away. So that it's very good to have increased ability range when using this ability. So yeah, and have continuity duration again. For that ability, you want to increase it. You want to have the duration to pretty much be like 20 seconds, so you have as much time to go around and then shoot. Like this is just good for every weapon, but especially for the Baza, as you need to walk around and get those headshots on with enemies, because that's the most effective way to use Baza. So having duration to about pretty much 20 seconds is very good. So that's why I have continuity on, and yeah, so that's why I have it on. It also allows it so that it's going to basically block off that hallway for a longer than normally would, and same with the trip laser and the Vortex as well. It also helps those out as well. Then we got I talked about this before, fast deflection, which as I said increases the how fast your shields regen. Very good because your shields will be going away pretty quickly, quite a lot. So because again you don't really have that many, so it's just good to have fast recharge on. Vigor, as I said before, pretty much reuse the same reason for redirection. It's increases shield capacity and health. It's I didn't want to increase the health as it wasn't really that important, but I still wanted to increase it a little more. And with also the added shield capacity increase, I had to add it on. So that's why I have it here to basically increase his survivability even more. Because as I said before, Vauban's survivability isn't really the best. So yeah. That's the build, and that's build for Vauban. Very good frame. I like him a lot. The only argument I hear against him to not use him is that he's not really that useful anymore. There's a lot more frames where are a lot better, like Gara. She's really good at locking down areas. Actually, no, she used to be. Saying that she used to be her third ability. I think her basically glass thing is now basically paper, so it breaks really easily. So again, saying that's a really bad example, but warframes like Frost, Rhino, very good for that kind of stuff. Nyx, not Nyx, I mean, oh, he kind of Nyx, you know, she's good for that as well. Neza, Neza's kind of a light one, you know, his first ability, you can do that for that, but like, you know, it's not really used that, it's kind of just used for blocking up the corridors, but there's just other Warframe which aren't, completely, only good for defending an area. But again, the meta of the gameplay isn't really that important because you don't need Warframes that are just good at locking down an area aren't as needed anymore because Warframes is just so powerful and there's no real point in locking down an area one because like saying in the one really good useful point where you could use Vauban is when saying if you're the payload or whatever you call it, the defense point has like heaps of enemies there, and you have two choices. Either throw your second ability, concuss. You can chuck down your third ability, which basically picks them all up. Again, won't pick them all up, saying if it's a big group, or you could use Vortex, which is probably the best thing to use in that example. But again, because Warframes are so powerful now, you can pretty much just use any Warframe, they'll still take him out. So, again, Vauban doesn't have that much of a use anymore. He isn't as useful as he used to be, but still, I still really like him. He's still really fun, and he's just really good. And I just gotta say as well, if you also have the same opinion and you like Vauban and you want to pick up Vauban Prime, I'll try and get him now because I'm pretty sure he's the next Warframe to be vaulted. So I don't know when that's going to be, but I would try to get him now. His parts, I'll just quickly tell you where you get the parts from because you can get the chassis from Lith V4. Where can you get? I don't know where you get his new optics. So I know you can get his blueprint from V2, and you can also get his chassis again from Neo V6. And where else can you get from? You can get his neuroptics from Neo V5, and I don't know where his schematics are though. His systems. I'm pretty sure they're probably in Meso or something. I'll go check. Yeah, let's go check for you guys. I'm sorry if I forget the colors. Yeah, let's have a look. That's Sauron. That should be here somewhere. Oh yeah, you get systems from Lith V2, and V4 is where you get his chassis. I'm pretty sure that's how you get his chassis now, and then Neo V4. I don't think you can get these relics anymore. Oh wait, no, you probably can't get Lith V4. Yeah, those are the ones you probably can't get anymore. Yeah, that makes sense. And then you get I think you now get his chassis from Lith V6, blueprints from V2, Neo V2, and then his last ones are from the only one I don't have, and it takes me ages to show you, V5, Neo V5. That's where you get them from. Okay, so that's how you get Vauban Prime. Again, I'm pretty sure he's just a straight up like buff to. He's just a straight up increase in power to Vauban, and I think he has like increased health. Or I don't know. I forgot. Yeah. So if you want to get Vauban Prime, I would recommend getting that. And yeah, if you like Vauban, I recommend getting Vauban Prime. So yep. And I'm just gonna end the video here. So yeah, see ya.
Reinforcements available. Do you choose to leave now or continue fighting? Keep fighting. Another opportunity to extract will appear soon.